But I tried to.
Is the job gets submitted, but then
it quits right away, or
so
okay, that might be it.
So
okay. Yeah, I think we may have something out here. The other thing is step 2 is recompiling unres with tau, and it just says use a makefile that includes PAPI, MPI, and PDT. When I find an fgrep through there, I'm getting a bunch of makefiles that just have -D something like MPI, but I'm not seeing anything with PAPI or the other thing that was listed. Do you have any specific makefiles to use?
So those tau makefiles are. Let me go ahead and show what's going on here. So you said you're on Kraken.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
So those tau makefiles are installed. They're part of the tau installation, and so if you want to, you want to see where's your tau, and also there's a path to a tau makefile in one of those example scripts also. But you can do it both ways. So if you do module show, and then that tau, that shows you the different paths. And it shows you a default tau makefile environment variable that it sets. And that directory is the directory that has all the tau makefiles. And so if you ls that directory and look for all the things that start with makefile, and that will give you all the list. Let's see if I can get.
Thanks. Yeah, I was looking in the tarball that you said to download. So
right. No, I think there's a line in there that says so look in the script and look for the path where that makefile is, where that environment variable is set. So. Yeah, so it would be in this path here. So you find where those makefiles reside by looking at you can look at in the module, or I can show you. So there's all the makefiles with the different options configured.
There.
If you look at the build unres with tau script, then you have an environment variable where it sets a tau makefile as an example. And so I think there's a line in the instructions that says to look at that. It may not have been real obvious or clear in my wording there, but so this will give you the path where to look for the other makefiles. So if you're looking at build unres _ tau, then that shows you where there's a makefile set there for you, and when you need to change that to a different makefile for a different build. Then you just look in that same directory where that one's at, and I think there's a similar thing on Queen Bee and on Ranger.
So next, Jim, did you have a comment?
yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So the question I have is, I try to do this in my own cluster, and I installed tau, made my own module and all that. And we're using your scripts. I'm having a hard time, obviously, because the paths don't work. I know that. But how do I get it so that I can create my own make, and it'll? I mean, are these make files, these tau files, are these things that are particular to tau, or is it something you created?
It's particular to tau. They're configured when you install tau. When you go through that install process, if you're going to install your own tau. Then you've got to. It describes the process there in their README or install section, but they have a configure script, and actually I think I can show you on Ranger what that looks like, just to give you an idea. It won't necessarily give you all the answers, but it can show you kind of what to look for. Make sure. There we are. Okay, so this was my own Tau build that I did on Ranger, and so these I just made a little script to hold a bunch of different configure commands, because each configure command will create a different makefile with the options that you give to it. Okay, so it's very long, as you can see. This is one line, and that's actually got a lot of stuff in it too. But let's see. Okay, so if you do, I think if you just run configure, it will give you the different options to look for. But so you run this configure script, and you set the C compiler that you want. You set the C++ compiler. This tells it if you want MPI, and this tells you the Fortran compiler that you want. And then this, if you want the automatic source instrumentation, then you need this PDT. And so this is actually a separate package you can download from the Tau website. And so you install that, and that's pretty straightforward. This installation is kind of the standard configure make process. But you have to install this PDT toolkit. So you point it to where that's installed if you want that. And then you have to point it, if you want MPI, you have to point it to where the include files are, the MPI libraries. So there's a number of different options there to give it all the MPI libraries and so forth. And then I think the last option, here's the one with PAPI. So if you want PAPI support, you got to tell it where your PAPI installation's at. So after this configure script runs, then you just do a make install, and it will install a new Tau makefile in the directory. If you've already done one installation of something, then it will just install another Tau makefile there. So that's how the process goes. Is you start, there's an initial makefile, and well, you can run configure make over and over to create more of these files. There is in the installation of Tau, they do have their own script, which I think is Tau setup. And so this is a script that they wrote to just, you can give options to this instead of to configure, and it will try to make a bunch of common combinations. So this is kind of, if you want just like one shot with a bunch of makefiles, then check out this one. And you can, I think it has some default options, but you can give it other options and point it to the right installations of PDT and PAPI and the like, and then it will run through and create a bunch of different make files. So yeah, there's a little bit of a process there if you're installing it on your own. Now, did that help at all, or do you have further question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Sure thing.
So as a follow-up real quick, Phil, to the Kraken question before, you really need to ask for processors in multiples of 12, because it's just, you get one node or two nodes or three nodes on Kraken. So
right. That's
12, 24, 36. Right.
I think I did that in the script, but I think in the text I said like 1 to 64. So yeah, that was just an omission on my part. For Kraken specifically, then it should be multiples of 12, of course. So the point there was to do a scaling study, and the exact numbers, they gave you a kind of a range, but you can play with that, and the exact numbers aren't so important as just seeing how it performs as it scales up. Other questions right now?
Do you have some of these PPK files already available? I don't think we all need to run a scaling study separately to be able to look at the results.
Well, yeah, certainly. Yeah, that's I actually do have, and I was going to show some of the results here. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So if we go, let's see. Okay. All right. Okay, so so here's a. So if you want to get some of these PPK files and just play with those directly, then so the idea of the exercise is just to sort of get an idea of the process and going through the whole build and all that and running your own code. But if you'd like to go through some of these, and I was going to show some of these results here so I could show you some of the features I was describing in the talk. Then you can go to this page here. So it's staff.pse.edu/blood/petascale_school_2010, and then there's an examples directory, and I have some examples here for both LAMPS and Unres. Yeah, let me post this. I'll go ahead and post this on the Google group. And I was going to do that at the next break, but I hadn't had a chance. So just see. I don't need that. Yeah. Well, yeah. Why don't I'll post this link and I'll fix the problem on Ranger. We can take a little break, and then I'll come back and we can go through. I can go through some of these examples and answer more questions if there's more questions.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Steve from Northwestern. I was looking at your submission script on Ranger, and you have a variable defined as DD, all caps, and it's pointing to a bunch of files in your home directory. And I don't really have these files when I downloaded the unres files. So is it okay if I leave it at that? I mean, do I have access to these files,
yeah,
or do I need to download it?
There was a problem on Ranger. I tried to make sure that that those permissions were open, but yeah, I'll fix that on Ranger. On the other machines, let me know if there's a problem. But I think it should work. So, but yeah, that should be open. Yeah, if it's on
Thanks.
Ranger, I'll fix it.